Hello folks, Kendal here again. For a long while now, I've had this soldering station, and I've been contemplating doing a modification to it. But this isn't about the soldering station, since I've already done a video on this in the past. It is about me trying to encourage you all to try things like this on your own. Projects don't need to be complicated or expensive in order to get nice results. Now, my particular problem is that I tend to do a lot of little odd projects from time to time, and I don't really have a large workspace. So when I don't need to use my soldering station, I tend to store it in a drawer. As I hope you can see here, the unit is a tight fit. And the problem with this is that the unit has a few cords and it's gangly and awkward to move. The only part that is detachable is the soldering iron. The heat gun, however, rarely gets used, but it isn't detachable. So I decided to use my ingenuity to remedy this and to make one other modification as well by making the power cord detachable. I think I mentioned this before, but I don't care for spending a lot of money on something unless it's warranted. If nothing else, I am frugal, or try to be when needed. Projects don't always have to cost a ton of money, and this project is the perfect example. Another thing to know about me is that I'm a bit of a hoarder when it comes to parts and pieces. I have this storage bin full of miscellaneous pieces and parts that I've acquired over the years, either by rummaging through thrown out parts, finding things at yard sales, or just removing parts from things that I have owned or had broken and had been replaced. I even managed to score these two nice little assorted parts boxes at highly discounted prices from Radio Shack when they started closing stores. They are filled with tons of useful parts from potentiometers, resistors, transistors, buttons, LED displays, IC chips, wire, etc. Over the years, I've scavenged bits of wires, motors, transformers, cords, splitters, shunts, LED lights, a water pump, and various other electrical parts. Those parts I didn't have when I needed, I bought cheaply, and my advice to you is, if you can, buy in bulk. If you need 2 banana clips, don't buy 2, get a 10-pack. If you need a DC power plug, get a 5-pack or bigger. You end up paying less per piece, and you have parts to use later if you choose. A case in point is I bought a 5-pack of adjustable power regulator boards. Now I only needed one. Now I had a few failures, mostly on my part, but I not only ended up with replacements, but the 5-pack was still cheaper than buying one expensive good one. The lesson to learn here really is, never throw something out that can be useful for later, saving you money. What to save is really up to you and depends on the type of projects you want to do. But back to the soldering station. The soldering iron has this aviation type connector attaching it so you can remove it when it's not needed. I figured that would be a perfect solution to making the heat gun removable. So I opened up the unit and found that there are 8 wires that needed to be connected. There's 2 wires, white and gray, for the heater element, 2 wires, brown and black, for the blower, 3 wires, red, yellow, and blue, that appear to be for the heat sensor and the magnetic cradle sensor, and 1 green wire for ground. And while I didn't have the connector I needed, after a short search on Amazon, I found a 5-pack of these aviation connectors with 8 pins that cost me $8, or about $1.67 with tax and free shipping. Oddly enough, I couldn't find a single count plug with 8 pins on Amazon. The cheapest I could find as a single connector was $2.33 before tax, with $9.50 shipping and a 15 to 20 day delivery time. I did happen to have this old IEC C14 connector that I scavenged from somewhere, so I didn't have to purchase one. I'm going to add this to the back, making the power cable detachable. In case you're wondering, the C14 is the female side and the C13 is the male side. The first thing that I do when I start something like this is to note what the wires are and assign them a number for pin reference. This way, I know what color wire I'm going to put into which pin so they match up later. After cutting the cable free, I needed to extend the wires a little bit to reach the connector I'm going to install. The second thing I need to do is mark and drill and cut out the holes I need. Now, I don't have a 16mm drill bit to make the hole for the aviation connector, but as luck would have it, the opening was already very close to the size that I needed. A quick touch up with the Dremel, and it was done in mere moments. I then used the Dremel with a cutoff disc for the rectangular power connector. There are 2 screws on the front panel where the heat gun cable is that are there for show only. I'm going to repurpose those to hold the power connector in place. Now that the holes are made, I need to strip back the cable for the heat gun, pre-tin the wires, and solder them into the correct pins. The use of heat shrink tubing isn't needed, but it's good practice to prevent any accidental shorts from happening in the future, especially on something this small and compact with so many pins close together. After soldering the connections for the heat gun, I can now solder the wires to the other end of the connector. There are numbers printed on the connectors, but remember that they are in opposite order for each end. Follow your notes to remember what color goes to what number. When that is done, just plug the cables back into the board into their corresponding position. Add a tie wrap if you like to keep things tidy, and on to the next part. All that is left is to attach the power connector and connect the wires. I simply just cut off the old ones and spliced in the new ones into place. You could use wire nuts, compression barrel connectors like I did, or solder them together. Then I took the 2 ground wires I needed and attached a connector so I could screw them into the chassis. Everything now should be connected and assembled and fully functional. Replace the cover and this project should be done. Now, not only does it still fit in my drawer, but when I pull the unit out, I don't have a 3-foot power cable and heat gun dangling from it like a rock climber that just lost his foothold. Again, this wasn't to show off my soldering station, but to show how easy it can be to modify something to fit your needs better. A combination of necessity and having too much time on my hands led me to put my ingenuity to work and accomplish something I had been thinking of doing for a while. Admittedly, this isn't the most beautiful work I've ever done, but it is more of functionality over beauty. I hope this encourages you to try and tackle a project like this on your own and maybe fix or upgrade something to fit your needs better. And don't be shy about asking others for help. I have one friend of mine that I ask for suggestions and help from all the time, since not only is he a brainiac, but also one of the nicest and most helpful people I know. And as always, if you like what you see here, please don't hesitate to hit that subscribe button and press that bell icon to be notified when I release a new video. Thank you again for all your support, as I appreciate every one of you. So until next time, folks, be good, be safe, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!